Hey everyone, it's Hydropump here. Today I'm excited to show you a really cool deck I've been working on for a hat format. It is Cyber Dragons. Now, I see a lot of people play Cyber Dragons with artifacts because there's synergies there with like the trap card destruction and artifacts destruction, everything triggering, and then you get to pretty much spit out a bunch of level 5s or obvious rank 5 exceed plays. But I'm taking a different approach with Cyber Dragons. Not playing the artifact cards, just going with the Cyber Dragon cards and like a really big stun continuous trap engine, which I'll get into in the deck profile. But I think this list has a lot of potential and maybe raises the ceiling of how Cyber Dragons can function within the format, because I think this deck can actually do a lot of damage against certain decks. So I'm actually going to jump right into the deck profile and just kind of go along with it. Yep, so to starting off, we have the monsters. We have 3 regular old Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon is really good just because, it's just Cyber Dragon namesake, and you can always go into like the rank 5s with it, so you kind of self-explanatory. And then you have 3 Cyber Dragon Dre, and what this one pretty much does is that when it's normal summon, you can make all your like machine monsters level 5, but you're locked into machines for the rest of the turn. So, or you can actually just make all your Cyber Dragon monsters level 5. So, and that's pretty much makes Dre level 5. It makes your core level 5 as well, and obviously. But anyways, it locks you into level 5s, and then it has a banish effect where if it's banished, you can target a Cyber Dragon you control, and it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn, which is relevant later on with the trap card. So yeah, 3 Dre, really good, and that's pretty nice stats too at 18. So that really matters too much. But then we have 3 Cyber Dragon Core. Pretty much most Cyber Dragon decks are gonna max out on these, but anyways, what Core is level 2 machine. You can actually play machine dupe on this, and since it counts as a Cyber Dragon, you summon more Cyber Dragons, but not really going with that approach in this build. But anyway, that's not something you can do. And these are both counted as Cyber Dragon monsters on the field and graveyard, which is pretty important. Anyways, when this is normal summon, you can add a Cyber spell and trap card from your deck to your hand. And pretty much when only your opponent has a monster on the field and you don't control any, and this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this from the grave, special summon a Cyber Dragon from your deck. So that's pretty good if this ever hits the graveyard, just run over it or something, and you can summon one of your Cyber Dragons from your deck. So yeah, 3 core. And for the last monsters is 2 Proto Cyber Dragon. Yep, Proto Cyber Dragon. Now, this card is pretty bad on its own, and all it is a Cyber Dragon while it's on the field. That's it. That's all it does. But that's pretty much the most important thing. You just need, in this deck, you just need Cyber Dragon monsters, which these are like the only good ones. And this is pretty much the best one. Otherwise, that counts as a Cyber Dragon. There's a couple others, but they're pretty mediocre, so we're just kind of stuck with the Proto Cyber Dragon. The level isn't really relevant. I guess you can maybe play like rank 3 exceeds, but not really that important. It's just pretty much you just need more Cyber Dragon monsters. I think 2 is probably a good number. Can maybe go down to 1 or go up to a 3rd one if you really need it, but I think 2 is probably fine. Just again, more Cyber Dragon monsters. So really low monster count because this deck does play a lot of traps. So we'll get into that. For the spells, we play 3 Pot of Duality. Again, you're not really special summoning, spamming too much in this deck. You can kind of set up for a special summon turn, so you can kind of use this to get there, and then when you're ready, you can kind of just go for that play. But yeah, you don't really need this is just great for finding your pieces, which we like to do. And then we play 3 Magic Planter. If you don't know what Magic Planter does, you can send a continuous trap, face-up continuous trap card you control, and send it to the grave to draw 2 cards. So this card is really broken in this deck because you play a lot of continuous traps, and you get some benefits when you do that as well. So you're drawing 2, and you're triggering effect most of the time. So, and then for the last spell, we play 1 Limit Removal. This card's still at 1.5 format. I don't know if this is totally necessary, but I have it in the list for now. But you can kind of get like some random kill shots on your opponent, and that's pretty relevant when there's soul charge decks in the format. Say they get themselves like pretty low, they pay a couple thousand, they could just die to this, or you can keep them out of soul charge range, which is really important. And again, there's not like a lot of defensive battle traps in the format, so you can probably get away with a lot of kills with this. Again, it probably needs more testing to see if it's really worthwhile, but I figured it's not really hurting anything. So as for the spells, and pretty much the most important card of the deck is Cyber Dragon Network. And this is the reason why people play this with artifacts too as well, but again, I'm not playing artifacts. So pretty much this card reads as destroy this card during the third standby phase after activation, so eventually it will destroy itself. And once returned, if you control a Cyber Dragon monster on the field, or if there's a Cyber Dragon monster on the field, not if you control, but you can banish a light machine monster from your deck, so like the other Cyber Dragon monsters. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon as many light machine monsters as possible, and if you do, destroy all your spells and traps that you control. And pretty much monsters that are special summoned this can't activate their effects, and you can't do their battle phase. So in the artifact builds, they will do something to snipe this, like double cyclone this away, and then you get to summon all your Cyber Dragons from your banish zone, and then like this triggers all the artifacts, which is cool. But I don't know, I don't find that very consistent. Whereas this, I feel like you can control or manage this card in this build, which really goes with the other traps. But yeah, so again, Cyber Dragon Core can search this, and then all my Cyber Dragons I play are considered as Cyber Dragons on the field. So this works with Proto Cyber Dragon because it has to be a Cyber Dragon on your field. So yeah, this card's really cool. I'll get into it more with like the other trap cards. So again, you can like technically Magic Planter this away and then trigger it. And it's kind of like Soul Charge, where like the battle phase thing doesn't really matter. You're just gonna be spamming the field, making a big play when you do resolve this. So like again, this build kind of just picks and chooses when you get to resolve this card. And another searchable Cyber card I play is Cyber Shadow Gardner. This is just like another searchable card. I don't play the repair plant that you can search with this as well. I don't really play that because, again, you don't really need to retrieve Cyber Dragons from the grave or search them. Not really like the game plan of this deck. I just find that spell card to be pretty mediocre. But we are playing the Shadow Gardner because there's times where you have like, maybe you have like one or two networks already and you have Cyber Dragon Core, so you can just grab something else. And this card isn't half bad either. And pretty much it's just like a monster trap. During your opponent's main phase, you can special summon this card as an effect monster, machine. And when your opponent declares an attack that targets this, pretty much, so if they're attacking this guy, this attack and defense becomes the attack and defense of the attacking monster. So it pretty much just like equals their stats. And then during their end phase, you set this card face down again. So again, this is something to keep you alive, and it's just not a bad card either. So it's next to the searchable, you can just play the one. So that's what we have there. And then for another trap card, we have 3 Imperial Customs, and this is a pretty simple card. Face up, continuous trap cards cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So this guy can't be destroyed by battle, the Gardner. And they can't be destroyed by card effects, which is really good. And so you can do some really neat tricks with the Cyber Network, where you can prevent it from destroying itself, or you can trigger its effect to when it's destroyed. You can trigger its effect to summon Cyber Dragons, and you can use this to protect your other spells and traps. So this would actually just destroy the Imperial Custom and not your other face-up continuous traps, which can be helpful. So yeah, this has like a lot of flexibility in this deck, and it's really good because people will try to, like, if you have a bunch of back row, they're gonna try to snipe this, and you can kind of just like make them go -1 in a way with the customs. And again, if you have multiple like continuous traps or what you don't need, you can just magic planter them away and whatnot. So yeah, this card's really good, and I like that card a lot. Another really broken card is 3 Safe Zone. Safe Zone is this card's really bonkers in this deck as well. So pretty much you target a face-up attack position monster on the field. That monster can't be destroyed by battle or opponent's card effects. And your opponent can't target with card effects either, and can't attack the opponent directly. So pretty much, whatever you can select. It works on like your monsters and your opponent's monsters, so you can like select a monster on the field, and say you just have like a little core on the field. You can protect this with this, and if they try to snipe the safe zone, you can Imperial Custom and protect it. But you can also use this on your opponent's monster. So if you have Cyber Network being destroyed, and you have this set triggering the network to destroy all your spells and traps, you can chain this on your opponent's monster, and their opponent's monster is going to go away as well. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a double cyclone thing, and then again with the magic planter, you can magic planter this, and then this will destroy the monster as well, which is really cool. So you can do like a lot of neat tricks with it. You can stall with it. It's just like a really flexible card in this deck, and I like it a lot. So yeah, really broken card. Then we got 3 Fenix Chain. Just kind of like a generically good continuous trap you can play. Just stalls the opponent's monsters from like beating you down and whatnot, and stops their effects. So really good. And then we got 3 Vanity's Emptiness, everyone's favorite card. Again, this works really well with the Imperial Custom, because pretty much when Vanity's Emptiness would die, like this would keep that from being destroyed. So you can kind of keep this lock up on the field for a while. So if you, I don't know, if you ever have like 2 of these, like one set, your opponent goes to destroy like Emptiness, it's like, okay, custom, save it, they go -1. And if they ever try to destroy this, which would make both these go away, you can just chain another one, only this goes, and then, it's pretty funny. And you can really keep your opponent under a lock with the Emptiness whenever you want. And you can actually use this in a weird way to prevent your Cyber Network from resolving. So like if Cyber Network gets destroyed, your opponent thinks all your back row is going to get wiped away, you can actually activate this to prevent Cyber Network from resolving and protect your spells and traps. So pretty cool. I like Emptiness a lot in this deck. And then really a card that you might think is a meme, but it's actually really good in this deck and just really good in the format in general, is DNA Surgery. So pretty much you declare a monster type, and all face-up monsters on the field become that type. So again, this works really well with the Cyber Dragons, because say your opponent has like a full field of like a full combo field or something, and you just activate this. You summon a Cyber Dragon, and makes Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon with all their monsters and your monster, just because you have a Cyber Dragon. So in itself, it's a disruption card and a board wipe. Some decks like really rely on the types, like against Geargia, you can actually call something else so they can't make Geargia X. So if you have like 2 of these, or actually just one of them, they have like a bunch of like Geargia monsters on the field. You can like magic planter. On their turn, you do this to make so they can't like make a Gear Giant, so they can either make like a bunch of random exceeds or whatnot that don't really do anything, like rank 4s, and then flip to your turn, you can like magic planter this away and suck up their monsters or whatever. And then spell books, like you can call machines, and their fate doesn't resolve. Bujin, their monsters don't work. Their protect monsters, like they can't really because they don't have like a beast warrior on their field. There's like a bunch of random things that this disrupts, and it's really good against. And again, if you call machines, you can just anytime suck up your opponent's field, which is a really big threat. So that card is pretty scary for the opponent. And to go with the DNA Surgery, we have 3 Rivalry Warlords. Again, another really disruptive card in the format, just because it's, you know, stops the hat deck really well, stops Mermail pretty well. It could be really good against Infernity, Medolce, Evil Swarm. Like the list just goes on. This card is so good in this format, and it causes a lot of decks problems. So if you combo with DNA Surgery, you know, if they have a bunch of dudes on the field, you call Machine, then they can't really go into stuff in their extra deck. They just have a bunch of machine monsters on the field. You summon a Cyber Dragon and eat their field pretty much. So really deadly combo with those two. So yeah, that wraps up the main deck. Again, there's a couple things that can be tweaked, but I like it overall. I think it's pretty clean. As for the extra deck, we have 3 Cyber Dragon Nova. You probably realistically only need 2 of these, but you can maybe use 3. I need to test them more to see like how many you actually need, but probably at least 1, 2. And the fusion target I have for this guy, well, Nova. I'll explain what Nova does real quick. So it requires 2 machines, level 5 machines, and pretty much you can attach material to summon a Cyber Dragon from your graveyard, which you can summon all your main deck, except for Proto, but you can summon the other guys in your main deck. And then quick effect, you can banish the Cyber Dragon from your hand or field to have this guy gain 21. So technically you can go like swing for Cyber Dragon and then banish Cyber Dragon. This guy goes with the 42, which is a lot of damage. And that lasts till the end of the turn, and if this card is ever destroyed, or actually just sent to the grave by your opponent's card effect, you can summon a fusion monster from your extra deck, which is this guy. This is the Battle Machine, Barbaroid. Pretty much he's 4,000, just a huge guy. You can just pretty much attack twice. Can't attack directly, and he does damage when he kills monsters. And he negates effects, so like if he runs over a hand, the hand won't resolve and its effects negated. So this guy's really good. If you play 3 Nova, if you're really going for this, if this deck ends up going to like 3 Nova a lot, you might want a second machine monster. Maybe like something like a Cyber Twin Dragon or something like that, just to have like a little more flexibility. More fusion guys for a punish, but yeah. And we play 1 Pallades. I don't know if more than one's required, but yeah, it's generically good. Again, if you do use Dre, he does lock you into machines, so Pallades is a little harder to make in this build than the Artifact build. So I feel like you'll probably just be going for Nova a little more often, but if you have 2 Cyber Dragons, then you can make Pallades really easily. You can also play M7 as well, but again, I'm not really sure how often Pallades is gonna be made, but we do play the 1. We got the 1 Vocal Sorus, again, pretty good just for the burn. We got this guy, Dvorzak, I think that's how you pronounce it. This guy's a little funny. I don't know if this test totally necessary. It has 3,200 attack, so he's like pretty big, and he requires 3 level 5 monsters. So normally you wouldn't be able to make this very easily, but again, Dre makes everything level 5, all your Cyber Dragons, so you can make this in its machine, so you don't get stuck with that limitation. And if you don't know what this does, you can attach material from it, send 3 cards for your opponent's deck to the grave. Then if any monster is sent to the grave by this effect, so if they mill like 3 monsters, you destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of monsters sent. So depending on the deck you're playing against, it can mill like a lot of things, like say like I don't know, like Lightsworn or something. You can milling for them can be pretty bad, but this also doesn't target cards on the field, so yeah, this can be it's a little high rolly because it is random, but it can be good in certain scenarios. And we got Zen Mayo again. It's a machine monster you can make. so it's a little easier with Dre to get into, and you can just pop 2 set cards on the field, so pretty good. And we have this guy here. This is the Machu Mech. I'll get into this in a second, but again, this requires 2 level 5s, so you could make this, and it's a machine. So there's that. And I'll get into his effect in a second too. Play the Gaia Charger, just because you can make it, and then, you know, on top of something. And we play the Starlite, Paladino guy. So Dre, if you you get in a scenario, like, I don't know, like, we can, so if you Cyber Dragon Network, like, you can't go into the battle phase that turn. But if you get like 2 Dre's and 2 Cyber Dragons off the Cyber Networks, you can make this guy and this guy. What this guy does, he requires 2 level 4 light monsters. He's a warrior, so you can't, like, I mean, you probably won't make this if you're locked in the machines anyways that turn. But you can attach 2 materials from it, then target one face up monster your opponent controls, change the attack to 0, and if you do, its effect's negated. So it negates the effect and makes its attack 0. And if this guy happens to die, you draw a card. And then this guy says you can attach material from it, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference of its original attack and its current attack. If you do, this guy gains attack to the inflicted damage. So this could be a really cool combo where you, like, I don't know, say they have something common, like a Gear Guy X on the field. You can shrink its attack to 0, and then this guy burns for 2300 because it's the difference from its original attack, and this guy gains it, so he goes up to 4700, and that could be relevant somehow. Again, you can make Volcasaurus, which is just kind of like the 1-card version of this, where you just pop Gear Guy X and you'll go along with your day. And you can also use this twice, so I'm not really sure which one's more useful. I guess, like, if you can attack that turn, and it'd be game, you can just use this guy, like these guys. But if you can't attack, maybe Volcasaurus is better. I'm not really sure, but I thought this interaction was interesting anyways. Again, not sure if it's totally necessary, but it is you know, pretty cool. And we played Dagosto Phoenix as the rank 2 because our cores are level 2. There's a couple other rank 2s you can play. Like, there's like the Herald rank 2 that can add a guy from your grave to your hand, so that's good for like hand traps and stuff, which more so post side. But Phoenix is kind of cool. It does interact a little bit, so it works with your Gaia and your Zen Mayo. So you can make one of these guys attack twice, which is pretty neat. So I think that's kind of like more of like a useful interaction maybe. But you can also go with the Herald as well. And then obviously play 3 Chimera Techs, Fortress Dragons. Again, with the DNA Surgery, you probably want 3 of these. And Gear Giz, it's like a machine deck anyways, like it's pretty common to go into this. Again, you play like 11 Cyber Dragon monsters you go into, so pretty common to just suck up your opponent's monsters. It's actually really crazy they can just go into this non-stop with the DNA Surgery. Like, your opponent cannot make a board, like they have to deal with the DNA Surgery or your monster, and then you just drop this on them. So pretty crazy. And then, like, not a lot of decks are actually killing you anyways, because the decks that make big boards are soul charge decks, which means they have to, like, you know, build a field first, and then this, when they're making a big field, you know, you just drop this, and then they just have a hard time with that. So Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons is really crazy. And these are just like some other rank 4 options you could play. Play Gear Guy X. Again, I don't think searching level 4s is super important, so I don't really know if this is really necessary. And then you can make Dweller as well with the Dre's, but again, I have a side deck options, but yeah, Dweller's pretty good. You can maybe fit Dweller in there. There's like a couple other niche other options you can play. As for the side deck, you got this Cyber Dragon Elton guy. He's pretty good too. You can just like wipe a field really easily against like some big combo decks. Again, I don't with DNA Surgery and the Fortress Dragons, I feel like you already wiped the fields pretty well, but this is like just like another option that you can use to do that if you're like you're playing as a deck that's really quick to make it on board. You can use that. We got 3 Flying Sea, really good against the XYZ decks like Infernity, Geargia. You're not really putting the monsters up on the field where they can crash the Flying Sea into, so you can really just stall them out. And when you're ready to, and like if they're just gonna have machines laying on the field, like armor and then accelerator or something. Like what they're gonna do, make a board of machines that Chimera Tech and suck up. And if you play Pallades and M7 and the little Herald, you can actually recycle this really easily. So the rank 2 Herald. So yeah, I think Flying Sea is probably pretty good. And you play 3 Maxi. Could maybe main deck this, but I think it works better in the sideboard against those like crazy decks that just want to combo against you. Again, these two work pretty well together because Maxi gets you the Flying Sea. And play 3 MST. This is probably for like the anything that gets side roll Decree against you. Obviously this deck's probably a little weak to like Decree, Trap Stun, like those kind of cards. So maybe this side of deck could be a little more for those than just MST, but I just have MSTs in here for now. You can also use this to destroy your like safe zones and cyber networks if you have to, so that's kind of a cool interaction as well. Kind of like what the artifact deck does. They play like double Cyclone to destroy their stuff. And then we play Soul Drain and Macro. Don't have Deep Fissure. You could play Deep Fissure, but again, these have like synergy with the Imperial Customs. Maybe Deep Fissure is a little better, just so you don't lose to like the Decree thing. But again, these synergize with Imperial Customs. These two kind of, you could technically main deck these, but they kind of conflict a little bit. Macro, like you can't Chimera Tech with Macro because it has to send the materials to the graveyard, so that's a little awkward. But against like, if you have this up against like something like Mermel, then they're probably having a hard time. Or you can just Magic Planter this away when you want it to go, or something like MST along those lines. Just kind of get rid of it somehow, and it prevents your cyber network because it has to be destroyed and sent to the grave. So you can technically, if they go after your cyber network, you can flip this and then it won't resolve or it won't activate because it never got sent to the grave. And Soul Drain, I think the only thing it really conflicts with is Core in this deck, where you summon like a Cyber Dragon for your deck. So this is actually probably more main deckable than Macro. But yeah, both are pretty good, and they're probably like to shut down a deck you would side against or want to side against. That's kind of like a flex spot in the last side spots, where you got 3 AntiSpell Fragrance. There's a couple like spell decks out there, like spell books. Sylvans kind of play a lot of spells. Those are like some big ones. Again, this is going to be slowing your opponent down some, but again, these are like kind of flex spots. I feel like you can probably fit something else here, but I'll just leave that up for you guys to decide. But yeah, I like the deck overall a lot. Again, there's like maybe some small tweaks just through play testing, but I think this has like a lot of potential compared to like the artifact Cyber Dragon deck, which is it's okay, but definitely like there's like a definitely like couple tiers below some of the other decks, whereas I feel like this like is anti enough and doing what you want to do anyways, like and like not a lot of decks really like destroy this deck. You don't get like hosed by like the artifact deck or anything like that. Like the hat deck, you kind of just like you're able to just like hang in there for a while and then kill your opponent when you want to. So yeah, I like the deck a lot. Just let me know what you guys think of this deck down below in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the deck profile, and if you want to see like other hat format deck profiles and yeah, thanks for watching everyone. I'll catch you all in the next one.